So hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and another video. It's been a long time since I've recorded anything like this. Two reasons really. It's been a bit cold. I've not really had an awful lot to talk through, and it's also been quite a while since I had anything sort of shiny and new to be able to talk about. So this is just going to be a very quick look over the Scope Artech rear disc wheel, so full disc wheel, disc brake, and this, my version at least, is with the Shimano Free Hub. You can also get it in SRAM if you're actually lucky enough to be able to find one of these. So from speaking to, well, in fact, before we get into that, so there's actually very little around on the internet about these. So Scope, at least the last time I looked, which was a few days ago, they were out of stock on Scope's own website. If you look around at one or two of the retailers, out of stock, back order. And then where I was going to go with this is then from speaking to one or two retailers is they've actually had them on order since about October or November of last year. So you will have seen, if you've done a search for this, you will have seen it on Ronald Kuba's channel, and that was sort of November-ish time. He finally got a set in, so this rear disc and then also the front wheel, which it pairs with. He finally got them in, but really they were on back order already because they were sold for another customer. So I thought, with so little around on the internet, and because I've been really lucky to get one of these, not only to actually get one, but also at a very good price, which will make some people pretty sick. I'm not going to go into it, but this wheel retails around about 2,300 for the standard bearings and closer to £3,000 for the ceramic bearings. So I'm really lucky to have picked this up. Basically it was a cheeky offer into a retailer who, to be fair, they were very transparent about it, said that they'd used it for testing. There was one or two marks on it, which I can't find any marks, so either they've sent me the wrong one or it was just the flash of the camera, but in any case, so there are a couple of things that I was trying to search for ultimately when I was looking. So this is the valve cover, and I was quite keen to see how this actually works, so I'll show you that in a second. It's a great design. I can actually get my compressor hose end into this without having to use an adapter. Something that I was keen to try. As you'll see, I've already put a tyre on it. So I'll show you how that works. It is genuinely a very good design, but I can see it might stitch one or two people up if you don't have the right size tool to be able to remove it and you're out on the road. So there's something I've got to make a mental note of. Otherwise, this is incredibly light. I think it's advertised at 890 grams. I don't have a set of scales really that's suitable for actually weighing this at the moment. I have ordered some so that we can see if it's kind of true to its word, but it's very light. And ordinarily I wouldn't get that hung up on the weight, to be honest, of a rear disc wheel. I've had a couple so far, admittedly nothing as sort of ever high up the food chain, so to speak, as this, certainly in price point and you know what the claims are around it, but I've never really got so hung up on the weight. And then it just so happens that probably about 8 or 9 months ago I was fortunate enough to get my hands physically on, not to ride, but one of the Cadex disc wheels. I think they released it last year. That was around about 900 grams, and just, you know, it was night and day compared to what I've been riding. The reason I didn't go for that wheel though is the Cadex is hookless, and I'm not riding hookless rims. I'm prepared to put my neck on the block. I don't think hookless rims will be around in a couple of years time, and so much so that even some of the other manufacturers that have been using them are now steadily starting to pull away from them, or at least offer alternative models. So last thing I wanted was to go and spend sort of in the, you know, in the region of £2,000 to £3,000 on a wheel that a year, 2 years down the tracks is pretty worthless. Not too dissimilar to people who are using rim brake wheels now. And I'm not saying there's a problem with them, I'm just saying that there's going to be no value in them. Hopefully this comes through, this sort of fish scale effect, as you'll see on a lot of the scope wheels, certainly the higher end ones, the Artech series, doesn't run the full length of the disc. In another video that I saw, and it's subjective at this stage because it hasn't been tested, but you would hope that Scope have tested it, that there's no need to run the scales right the way down the disc. I'm not an aerodynamicist, so we'll see if that one ever kind of comes to light as to why they did, or didn't rather, do that. I think otherwise pretty nicely finished. There has been one or two sort of news articles about the decals coming off. These are now painted on, so fingers crossed that sort of stands up to the test of time. And yeah, otherwise, at least in terms of what you can actually see, very nice finish. There's also one or two other things as well that you actually get with this. So nice little bag, usual stuff in here, sort of paperwork, how to fit them, do's and don'ts, etc. Comes with a little cleaner, which there is absolutely no instructions for, so we'll see how we go with that one. There's also a cleaning cloth as well, which is a bit more than a cloth, to be honest. You could probably dry yourself off when you come out the bath. And then a couple of spacers, which, having read this, I'm hoping that I don't need to use these in any way, but essentially it's to take up some of the play in the axle, because there's no preload apparently. This is getting sort of a bit too technical now even for me. And then otherwise, spoke key, because you can actually true these, so it's not a solid disc, which I guess is how they managed to keep the weight down. And unlike solid discs that I've had before, and now this is where I wished I'd not fitted a tyre beforehand, but it does actually have rim tape because it's not a solid rim right the way around. So I guess remove that and then you should be able to true this in theory, but that won't be a job that I'm ever doing, and I'll obviously do my absolute best to miss potholes. So I've obviously not ridden this at the moment, but one of the things that I wanted to do, whilst it's still very much winter, is to see what a 28mm tyre goes on like. So this is 23mm internal. I forget what the exterior is. It might be in the region of about 30. I'd need to check that out. But for me, it's always the internal mostly that I look at. So 23mm. This has got a 28mm Conti GP5000 TT. Is it a TR TT? You know what I'm talking about anyway. And it's got a pretty nice profile on here. I have been running a 28mm rear tyre on my time trial bikes now for the last couple of years, and then go 25mm at the front, mostly because a lot of the TTs around here, the roads tend to be a little bit rough, and so I like to just have a slightly wider tyre on the rear, drop the pressure a little bit, and I find it's a lot more comfortable. So I'll just show you this very quickly. It does come pre-installed with rim tape and also the tubeless valve as well. Now you need to make sure that you get this in the right way, because it has the scales on it, and the first time that I removed it, I was so thrilled that I managed to do it first time, and then when I went to put it back in, put it in upside down. So essentially the easiest way to remember, and people will soon figure this out anyway, but it's the writing goes upside down and at the top. So essentially how it works, and I'm going to try and do this now one-handed and making sure it's in focus. So put it in at sort of 90 degrees. That's it. Nice and tight, nice flush finish, finish and nice and clean. Now there is a tiny little hole there that's about 1 to 1.5 mil, and essentially the way that I'm getting this out, I don't know if there actually is a tool that's supposed to come with this. Have had a quick look through. Maybe it's one of the reasons why I was actually able to get a bit of a discount on this. But essentially what you have to do is stick something in there, twist, and then basically it's just the reverse after that. So nice and simple. One of the things that I do like about a wheel, especially a disc wheel, is a nice noisy free hub. And because this is hollow, it's basically a spoked wheel with a carbon cover over it, then you get even more of that drum effect. And I've not even had this actually in a bike at the moment either, so this has the potential to be even louder. So not going to be to everyone's liking, but something that I quite like. So that's an initial kind of first look. If anybody has any questions at all, by all means fire them my way. I obviously haven't aero tested this. I'm not going to be aero testing it, but Ronnie Kuba is your man for doing that, which I think is probably likely to be April, May, maybe even June, once he's had a chance, just like me, to be able to get outside and actually ride it. So he'll take care of that, I'm sure, not to set him up, but a good channel nonetheless. But yeah, otherwise, if you've any questions, by all means fire them across and I'll try and answer as best I can, which is mostly going to be about actually looking at the wheel and trying to work out what it is that you actually want to know. But nonetheless, happy with this in terms of the unboxing, happy enough with how easy a tyre went on, how easy it is to inflate, which is all a pretty good start as far as I'm concerned. If I'm lucky, I might get out on this in about 6 weeks. It's very much going to depend on the good old British weather. So any comments, questions, drop them in the section below. Big thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe if you would like to see more, and thank you very much for watching.